My name is Lauren Hayes. I'm 34 years old, and the night my family called me a selfish ATM with legs was the night I finally stopped being their daughter. It was a Sunday in late November in Columbus, Ohio. My apartment smelled like burnt pizza and stress. I'd just finished a 60-hour week as a senior financial analyst. End of quarter, no overtime pay, just, "We really appreciate your hustle," emails from management. I was sitting on my couch in my leggings and an old Ohio State hoodie, laptop open, trying to finish one last report before Monday. My eyes were already sore, my shoulders tight. My phone buzzed on the coffee table. First, a text from my mom. "Lauren, your brother's car was repossessed. Again. We need you to help. You know he's going through a lot." I stared at the screen. I didn't even react at first. It was so familiar it almost felt scripted. 5 seconds later, another one. "You make good money. You're single, no kids. You can spare some. Don't be selfish." Then a text from my brother, Tyler. "Yo, can you send $2K today? I'll pay you back next month." Next month. Tyler has never paid me back next month. Not once. Not in the last 10 years. I looked at my bank app. My student loans, my car payment, my rent, my emergency fund. Nothing about my finances looked like rich single woman with endless money. Then my mom called. I picked up. "Lauren," she said without even saying hello. "Your brother is having a mental breakdown. They're taking his car. How is he supposed to get to work? We need you." "Mom," I said quietly, "I just helped him with $1,200 2 months ago for rent. I can't keep doing this." Her voice snapped like a whip. "So now you're going to abandon your family? After everything we've done for you?" I laughed. This dry, bitter sound that didn't even feel like it came from me. "Everything you've done for me?" I repeated. "Mom, I have been paying for everything since I was 22. She went silent for a second. Then she said the line that broke something in me. "Well, somebody has to be responsible. That's your role. Tyler's the one with a future. You're just stable. Just stable. Not loved. Not appreciated. Not our daughter we're proud of. Stable. Like a bank. Like a piece of furniture." I remember staring at the wall, my heart thudding, and thinking, I am not a person to them. I am a payroll system with a heartbeat. That was the moment. The moment I realized if I didn't draw a line, they were going to drain me dry. My bank account, my energy, my future. Because to them, that was my job. So that night, instead of opening my banking app to transfer money, I opened my laptop and started writing down every single time I'd bailed them out. By the time I finished, I was shaking, and I knew this wasn't just about money. It was about who I was allowed to be in my own life. That night was my breaking point. But the truth? It started way, way before that. I grew up in a small town about an hour outside Columbus. You know the kind. 1 Walmart, 3 churches, everybody knows your business before you do. My dad, Frank, worked at a factory. My mom, Carol, bounced between part-time jobs at the grocery store and a diner. We never had a lot, but we had enough, or at least that's what they told us. I was the good kid. Honor roll, quiet, responsible, the one teachers wrote nice notes about. My brother Tyler? He was the dreamer, the charismatic one, which is a nice way of saying he got away with everything. When I was 14, I started babysitting every weekend. $20 here, $30 there. One Saturday night, my mom came into my room. "Lauren, honey, we're a little short on the electric bill," she said, like she was asking me to pass the salt. "Can we borrow some of your babysitting cash? We'll pay you back next week." I handed it over immediately. I wanted to help. I loved feeling like I could help. I was a kid who thought being useful meant being loved. They never paid it back. It became a habit. They'd say, "borrow," but it always meant goodbye. At 16, I got a job at Target. I remember my mom sighing with relief. "Thank God one of you is responsible," she'd say, loud enough for Tyler to hear. When Tyler needed money for gas, she'd say, "Ask your sister." When he wanted a new video game, "Ask your sister." When he failed a class and had to retake it in summer school, "Lauren can help cover it. She's good with money." I didn't even question it. This was just my role. I was the helper. I was the responsible one. I was the built-in safety net. Then college came. I got into a state university in Columbus. Not a fancy Ivy, but a good school. I got some scholarships, worked part-time, took out loans. There was no college fund waiting for me. On my move-in day, my mom hugged me and whispered, "We're so proud of you, and we know you're going to take care of us someday." I thought she meant emotionally. Later, I realized she meant financially. The second semester of my sophomore year, my dad called. "Your mom's car died," he said. "We're behind on payments. Can you put some of it on your credit card? We'll pay you back when tax season hits." They didn't. By the time I graduated with my degree in finance, I had $38,000 in student loans, almost $4,000 in credit card debt, and a family that casually said things like, "Well, once you get settled at that big job, our money stress will finally be over." Not your money stress, our. I landed my first real job at a mid-sized company in Columbus. Nothing glamorous, but a steady paycheck, health insurance, a 401k. I thought, this is it. Things are going to get better. I wasn't entirely wrong. Things did get better, just not for me. If you've ever been the responsible one in your family, you know how this goes. At first, it was just this one time. Then it was, "We'll pay you back." Then it became, "Well, you know your sister, brother, cousin can't handle money like you can. You're better with it." And somehow being better with money meant giving it away. In my mid-20s, I worked hard. I ate microwave meals, split rent with 2 roommates, skipped vacations. I watched coworkers go to Cancun while I celebrated by finally paying off one of my high-interest credit cards. Meanwhile, my parents and my brother asked me to co-sign on a used car loan for Tyler, asked me to help a little when their mortgage was late, asked me to cover just a few things for Thanksgiving. Somehow, a few things became the entire grocery bill. My mom had a favorite line, "Family helps family, that's what we do." But in our family, family helps family actually meant Lauren helps everyone. Here's a small sample of what I paid for between ages 24 and 33. Tyler's car payment, multiple months in a row. My parents' internet and phone so my mom could video chat with her friends and my dad could watch sports. New tires for my dad's truck. A vet bill when the family dog needed emergency surgery. Tyler's first month of rent with his girlfriend Brittany because they're trying to start their life. Every time they said, "We'll pay you back." Every time they didn't. And when I tried to say something, my mom would switch to guilt mode like flipping a light switch. "Wow," she'd say, We gave you everything we could when you were a kid, a roof over your head, food on the table, and now you can't do this one thing for us? One thing, 36 times. At work, I was the go-to person. Lauren, you're so reliable. Lauren, you're such a team player. Lauren, you're always willing to stay late. I started to notice a pattern. At home and at work, everyone loved that I was responsible, as long as it benefited them. I burned myself out saying yes. Yes, I can take this extra project. Yes, I can run that report over the weekend. Yes, I can cover the minimum payment for your credit card this month. I said yes until my body started screaming no. At 31, I ended up in urgent care with chest pain. I was convinced I was having a heart attack. Turned out it was anxiety and exhaustion. The doctor, a tired woman in her 40s, looked at me and said, "You need rest and boundaries. Your body is done carrying everything." Boundaries. Cute word. At the time, I had none. My worst moment before the final breaking point came the year I turned 32. My parents were behind on their mortgage. Not the first time, but this time, they were 3 months behind. My mom called me, sobbing. "They're going to take the house," she cried. "Lauren, this is where you grew up. Don't you care?" Of course I cared. I cried too. I opened my laptop. I pulled up my savings, the money I'd worked so hard to build, the emergency fund I was so proud of, and I wiped $5,000 off the screen in one transfer. They kept the house. They also posted on Facebook the next week about taking Tyler and his girlfriend's kids to a water park to make memories that last forever. I remember staring at that post from my tiny apartment and whispering, "My money paid for your memories." Still, I didn't stop. I told myself, this is what good daughters do. This is what responsible people do. This is what strong women do. We hold it all. We carry it all. We fix it all. Until one day, we can't. The final blow came on my 34th birthday. I'd agreed, against my better judgment, to spend it at my parents' house. They said they wanted to do something special as a family. I told myself it might be different this time. The living room was decorated with dollar store balloons. My mom baked a cake from a box mix. My dad watched football with the sound turned up too loud. Tyler showed up late with Brittany and their 2 kids, already complaining that gas prices were insane, man. I'd just gotten a small promotion at work. Nothing huge, but it came with a raise. I'd told my parents about it 2 weeks before. Mistake. We were all sitting around the table. My mom lit the candles on my cake. "Make a wish," she said. I closed my eyes. For the first time in my life, I didn't wish for them to be okay. I wished for me to be okay. Before I could blow out the candles, Tyler snorted. "I already know what Lauren wished for," he said. "To make 6 figures so she can finally buy us all new cars." Everyone laughed. Even my mom. Even my dad. It wasn't the first money joke they'd made, but that night, something about it hit differently. Maybe because I was tired. Maybe because I could feel the calluses on my own heart. Then my mom said, "Come on, Ty, leave your sister alone. She does enough for us. She's basically our little walking credit card." She said it casually, like it was cute, like it was a compliment. Everyone laughed again. My throat burned. I looked around that table at the people I'd bent my entire life around trying to help. I saw my dad, who hadn't asked a single question about my life in months. My mom, who only texted when she needed something. My brother, who still believed the world owed him endless second chances. Brittany, scrolling on her phone, half listening. Two kids who had no idea what was going on, but were absorbing it all anyway. In that moment, I realized my future was sitting in front of me like a warning. If I didn't change something, I'd be 50 years old, still wiring money, still being the walking credit card, still getting jokes instead of gratitude. My mom pushed the cake closer to me. Okay, blow the candles out before the wax ruins it, she said. I blew them out. Everyone clapped. Then my dad said, "So, speaking of money, Tyler's car situation." I don't remember exactly what happened next, only how it felt. Heat rising in my chest, my heart pounding in my ears, my vision going sharp, like the world suddenly snapped into focus. I stood up. The chair scraped against the floor. "Lauren?" My mom frowned. "Where are you going? We haven't even cut the cake." "I don't want cake," I heard myself say, my voice cold and steady. "I'm tired of paying for everyone else's cake." The room went silent. My mom blinked. "What's that supposed to mean?" I looked right at her. "At what point," I asked, "do I get to stop being your ATM and just be your daughter?" Her face hardened immediately. "Wow, really? On your birthday, you're going to make us feel bad?" Tyler muttered. "Jesus, drama much?" That was it. I picked up my keys. "I'm leaving," I said. My dad snapped. "Don't you walk out that door, Lauren. We're family. We talk things through." I laughed. "We don't talk," I said. "You demand, I pay. You make jokes about how much I pay. That's not talking, that's using." I walked out. My mom shouted something about me being ungrateful. Tyler called me a walking bank with an attitude problem. I closed the door behind me. In the car, my hands shook so badly, I had to sit there for 10 minutes before I could drive. On the highway back to Columbus, tears blurred the lights. For the first time in my life, I let myself say the truth out loud. They don't love me the way I need to be loved. They love what I do for them. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. The thing no one tells you about setting boundaries with family is that it doesn't feel empowering at first. It feels like you're burning your own house down. That night when I got home, I didn't scream or throw anything. I sat on my living room floor with my back against the couch, still in my jeans, shoes half off, and I opened my banking app. Just like I did the night I mentioned earlier, only this time, I wasn't looking for money to send, I was looking at the pattern. I printed statements, highlighted transfers, made a list. The $5,000 for the mortgage, the $1,200 for Tyler's rent, the $450 here, $300 there, $80 just this once. Grocery runs where I just picked up a few things and ended up spending $200. Over 10 years, I realized I had given or paid over $30,000 for my family. $30,000. That was a down payment on a small house. That was my student loans, gone. That was a year off work to rest. I stared at the number and whispered, I could have started a whole new life with that. The guilt came right after the anger. What kind of daughter thinks that way? What kind of sister keeps receipts? But another voice, a quieter one, whispered, what kind of family turns their child into a retirement plan? I didn't decide everything in one night, but I did make one promise to myself. There will be no more automatic yes. The next morning, my phone exploded. My mom. I can't believe you walked out like that. You humiliated us. My dad. You're being ridiculous. You're the one with the good job. Step up. Tyler. So, I guess you're just done with us, huh? Must be nice having money and no responsibilities. Must be nice. I read every word, shaking. My thumbs hovered over the keyboard a dozen times. I wanted to defend myself, explain, convince, but explaining hadn't worked for 10 years. So I typed something simple. I love you, but I'm not sending any more money. I need to take care of myself now. My mom replied instantly. Wow. After everything we've sacrificed, this is how you repay us? And that's when I made the real decision. Not just, I won't send money, but I will not let their guilt be my compass anymore. From that moment on, I decided no more emergency transfers, no more co-signing, no more just this once, no more explaining my finances like I was asking permission to exist. I knew they wouldn't like it. I knew they'd call me selfish, dramatic, heartless. But I chose something bigger than their approval. I chose my future self. I'm a financial analyst. Planning is my coping mechanism. So, once I decided, I did what I do best. I made a plan. 1. I separated my money completely. First, I closed the old joint checking account my name had been on, just in case. The bank teller asked, "Are you sure? Your parents use this often." I held my breath and said, "Yes, I'm sure." I changed every password, put two-factor authentication on each account, got alerts for every transaction. No more surprise withdrawals by mistake. 2. I built an emergency fund, for me, not for them. For years, whenever I had extra money, I kept it loose, easy to access, easy to send. Now, I opened a separate high-yield savings account nicknamed Lauren's Life and set up automatic transfers. That account was sacred. No family emergencies allowed. 3. I practiced the hardest sentence I've ever said. I'm not able to help with that. Not, I can't, because I could. I just wasn't willing anymore. I'm not able to help with that sounded more final, less negotiable. The first time I used it was when my mom called about Tyler's past due credit card. "Lauren, they're going to send it to collections. Just $500. You make that in a day." My throat tightened. "I'm not able to help with that," I said. Silence. Then, "You serious?" "Yes." She hung up on me. I cried afterward, but I didn't call back and apologize. I let the sentence stand. 4. I started therapy. I'd always told myself therapy was too expensive. Funny how I'd wired thousands of dollars to my family, but hesitated to spend $100 a week on my own mental health. I found a therapist who specialized in family systems and boundaries, a woman in her 40s named Dr. Patel, who wore colorful scarves and had the gentlest voice I'd ever heard. The first session, I apologized for rambling. She smiled and said, "You've spent your whole life organizing other people. This is your hour. You don't have to be efficient. Just be honest." I sobbed for half the session. Together, we untangled the idea that being needed was the same as being loved. She helped me see that I was allowed to be more than a utility. She gave me scripts. "I understand that you're upset, but I'm not changing my decision. I'm not comfortable discussing my finances. That doesn't work for me. They felt robotic at first. Then they started to feel like armor. 5. I built a life outside of being the reliable one. I signed up for a yoga class at a studio near my apartment. At first, I felt awkward, like a fraud. But over time, it became a place where no one knew me as the responsible one. I was just Lauren, the woman in the back row trying not to fall over in tree pose. I started saying yes to small joys I used to deny myself. Brunch with coworkers, a weekend trip to Chicago with a friend, a new pair of running shoes that actually fit. I watched my life slowly shift from survival mode to something that looked almost like living. 6. I prepared for backlash. I knew my family wouldn't go quietly, so I saved screenshots of texts, kept a record of payments I'd made over the years, blocked them on social media temporarily when the guilt messages got too intense. My therapist called it protective distance. I called it oxygen. The plan wasn't perfect. Sometimes I slipped. Sometimes I sent $50 out of panic and then had to forgive myself. But little by little, the default setting changed. I wasn't an open wallet anymore. I was a person. Here's the thing about being the family fixer. As long as you keep catching them, they never learn how to land. About 6 months after my birthday meltdown, I got a call from a cousin. "Have you talked to your parents?" she asked. "No," I said cautiously. "Why?" "They got a notice about the house," she said. "Tyler's behind on his loans. It's a lot." Old Lauren would have gone straight into strategy mode. Calculators, spreadsheets, rescue plans. New Lauren listened, felt the familiar tug of responsibility, and stayed still. I didn't call. I didn't text. I did nothing. A week later, my mom left me a voicemail. Her voice sounded smaller than I'd ever heard it. "Hi, Lauren," she said. We're trying to figure some things out. I know you're mad at us. I just wanted to say, we might have to sell the house. Call me if you want." I sat on my couch, the same couch where I'd once cried over sending them $5,000 to save that house, and I felt sad, but not guilty. Because here was the truth. They hadn't just made mistakes. They'd made choices. Choices to spend instead of save. Choices to joke instead of appreciate. Choices to lean on me instead of learning to stand. Their choices finally had consequences that weren't landing on my back. It wasn't fun to watch. I didn't find pleasure in their struggle. But there was a deep sense of justice, I guess. Not revenge, just cause and effect. Meanwhile, my own life was quietly transforming. At work, my boss called me into her office one morning. "Lauren," she said, "I've noticed a shift in you this year. You're still reliable, but you're also more confident. You're setting better expectations with clients. We'd like to promote you to team lead." I almost cried in front of her. Not because of the promotion, though the raise helped, but because for the first time, being responsible was actually benefiting me, not just everyone around me. My friendships deepened. Without constant family emergencies, I had time to go on walks with a coworker after hours, to join a book club, to actually show up on time for things because I wasn't stopping at Western Union first. One evening, as I left yoga class, I checked my phone. A single text from my brother. "I heard you got promoted. I'm happy for you. Sorry for how we treated you. I didn't realize how much we leaned on you. I'm trying to figure my own stuff out." I stared at it for a long time. Old me would have replied instantly, offering encouragement, maybe even a little money to help him reset. New me took a deep breath and wrote, "Thank you for saying that. I hope you really do figure things out. I'm working on my own life now, too." I didn't offer money. I didn't apologize for protecting myself. That was my reward. Not their suffering, not their apology, but my changed response. It's been almost 2 years since that birthday. My parents ended up selling the house and moving into a smaller rental closer to town. My brother picked up a second job. He still makes questionable choices, but they're his to carry now. We're not as close as we once pretended to be, but we speak occasionally. On the phone, my mom sounds different, less entitled, more careful with her words. Sometimes I miss the illusion of what we used to be, the "we're all in this together" fantasy. But then I remember that, back then, we really meant me. My life now isn't perfect, but it's mine. I still live in Columbus, in a slightly nicer apartment with sunlight in the mornings and a plant I'm somehow keeping alive. I still work hard, but I take my PTO now without apologizing. I have a savings account that's finally growing, and not because I'm hoarding, but because I'm no longer leaking money from every emotional wound. I travel sometimes. I went to Denver last year and hiked in real mountains for the first time. I stood on a trail, breathing in the thin, cold air, and realized I am not responsible for holding everyone else's sky up. The biggest change is inside. When my phone lights up with a family member's name now, I don't immediately feel dread or an obligation to pull out my debit card. Sometimes I answer, sometimes I don't. Either way, it's my choice. So this is what I want to say to you, if you're reading this and recognizing yourself. If you're the one your family always calls when the rent is late, if you're the one everyone expects to understand when they disappear until they need money, if you're the woman who works 50 to 60 hours a week and still gets called selfish for wanting to keep her own paycheck, you are not alone. You are not crazy. You are not heartless for wanting out. You are not their retirement plan. You are not their emergency fund. You are not their bailout package. You are a whole human being with dreams, exhaustion, joy, needs, limits. Setting boundaries will not feel pretty at first. You will feel guilty. You will feel like the villain in their story. Do it anyway. Because here's the truth no one told me. The people who truly love you will learn to love you with boundaries. The ones who only loved your usefulness will call you selfish when you stop being useful. Let them. Let them be angry. Let them talk. Let them call you names that aren't true. While they're complaining, you will be building. Building rest into your week. Building savings into your bank account. Building friendships that aren't transactional. Building a self that no longer feels like a walking credit card. I used to think my life would fall apart without my family's approval. Instead, when I finally stepped back, the only thing that fell apart was the illusion that their needs mattered more than my entire existence. And when that illusion shattered, something beautiful was waiting underneath. A quiet, steady truth. I am allowed to take care of myself first. I am allowed to be more than what other people take from me. I am allowed to say, no, that doesn't work for me. If this hits home for you, consider this your sign. Not to cut everyone off overnight, not to go nuclear, but to do what I did on that living room floor all those months ago. Open your eyes. Look at the pattern. Ask yourself honestly, if I keep living like this, where will I be in 5 years? And if the answer scares you, you're allowed to choose differently. You're allowed to choose you.